Hello, welcome to BuffaloNews.com. I'm John Vogl here with Mike Harrington at Center Ice. Well, what used to be Center Ice here in Key Bank Center. The ice is gone. The Sabres are packing their things. Summer's about to start.
How about that? We haven't seen that one before, have we? Another season. Playoffs are starting Wednesday, the NHL, not in Buffalo. And, you know, locker cleanout day is always a weird day, but today it got really even stranger to me. You really sensed a lot of anger on this team, which is good. Now, maybe it would translate to some better play over the course of the season, but I think next year these guys have to come ready to play. We saw Robin Leonard, we saw Jack Eichel clearly distressed by what happened here this year, and I don't think at all these players are really blaming injuries. I think they're blaming a lot of the culture inside this room for the reason the ice is gone and there's no more hockey here this year.
Jack Eichel said it himself. His big statement today, he didn't say a lot. He wasn't in the mood to talk at times.
He was thrifty with his words.
Yes, but when he talked, he was very direct, very to the point. He said there's a difference between winning or wanting to win and actually really wanting to win, and he doesn't think enough people really wanted to win inside this team and organization.
And the stunning thing to me was when he said there are too many guys in this team just happy to be in the NHL. I mean, that was as... what word would I use? That was as churlish a post-season locker cleanout press conference as I have ever seen on this beat. And frankly, that's okay. That's a good thing. Jack Eichel even said he needs to take more accountability, more ownership of this team. And down the road, you're looking at Jack Eichel someday being the captain here. And he knows that he's going to have to be the leader and be the star. And other guys are going to have to follow and really start to pick up the pace here, or this team isn't going to go anywhere.
He also said he's just scratching the surface of where he needs to be as a player, which is good to hear. It was pointed out that he was almost the point-per-game player this season, and he quickly said, I wasn't. So that was quite interesting. Other news, right before Jack talked, Dan Bilesma also did. He said it's business as usual for him.
He said, going forward, so all the talk about Dan Bilesma getting fired, I think we'll get the official confirmation from Tim Murray on Wednesday. My sense continues to be that Dan Bilesma will be back next year, but on a very short leash. That if this thing starts out badly again, they may have to make a move. But I just do not believe, John, you can allow these players to essentially run the coach out 2 years into the rebuild. You can't allow Jack Eichel to be the GM, or anyone else for that matter, to be the GM. And I know other players have run their coach out at times, but until we see better ownership of the entire operation here, sometimes the players have to play the system the coach wants. And you know what, guys? Players don't like coaches. It happens all the time. Why do the players have to like the coach? 10 years ago, when everyone was singing to the Goo Goo Dolls in this building, all around at Center Ice, were these players in love with Lindy Ruff? Why don't you ask Thomas Vanek how much he liked Lindy Ruff? It's not a prerequisite for winning. The prerequisite is for everyone to come together as a team.
One big change in recent days was the system and ownership of the system. Dan said today, he talks to the players about it. They have ownership in it as well as him. So a lot of people say the system is the big deal, but Dan says he sits down, talks with them, and the players said it's up to them to come play.
I'm sick of hearing about the system. The system. I remember back to when Brian Giunta said earlier in the year, there are really no differences in systems for most teams. And most teams play the same system. You know what? Whatever system you guys play. And barely, we don't half the time know what it's supposed to be. Just play it. I'm sick of hearing complaints about it. The defense needs to be better. There's too much of a gap. There's all these problems, 5-on-5 not scoring. Ultimately, you need to have better players to have a good system. And this team needs to be better in its bottom six forwards. They need to be better on defense. And lo and behold, the system will become better.
As always, thank you for joining us at BuffaloNews.com. Although the season's over, there's plenty more coming from us, so stay tuned and thanks for coming.